Is there a cover? Dude, $5 is a lot of money. I could buy like a box of cereal with that or something like that. I mean, it's not like they put in any effort making those songs. What do you strum some chords? I mean, seriously, why is there a cover? Hey everybody, welcome to Is There a Cover, your podcast about songwriting. Here we talk about singing stories and living songs in the words of the late and great Kent Finley. Before I get into the show today, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who came out to our show at Stubbs the other day on Saturday night that we played with our friends Reddening West and Tahoma. We had a blast. Thank you so much for staying late with us. Thank you to Tahoma and Reddening West for being a part of it, and for Reddening West for asking us to play. Thank you so much. If you missed the show, you'll have another chance to see us in Austin this month. We're playing at Lambert's July 29th. That's a Friday night. We're playing with John Stickley Trio out of Asheville, North Carolina. It's the last night of their tour, so everybody come out and hang out. We're going to try to debut some new songs, and from what I've heard of the John Stickley Trio, they're pretty awesome. And I believe tickets are $8 or $10. You can get those at Front Gate Tickets. Okay. But today on the show, I have an interview with one of my good friends, Mr. Brian Wolff. Brian is out of Binghamton, but now he lives down in Austin. He plays in this band called Fair City Fire that is, in my opinion, one of the better rock and roll bands in the area. And they're playing all sorts of venues. I know they're playing Stubbs themselves August 20th, which you should definitely check out because there's some great bands on that bill. But this is one of those interviews that I've got to say I feel pretty proud of. And the show is scheduled a little differently today. We're going to have both a song from their record, The Simple Truth, and we're going to end with a special performance that Brian did just for this show. So without further ado, we're going to kick it off by having the first track off their record, The Simple Truth, play, and the title is Johnny. So here you go.
Johnny's been talking about leaving since the day he was born. He's been working and working till that soul of his got torn. Got a wife and a kid now, he's not going anywhere. His dreams disappear 'cause he never paid the fare. Every night Johnny takes his place at the bar up the street, drowning his mind, glass after glass of cheap whiskey neat. Johnny was so young, so full of life. He's not a dead man, but he sure ain't alive. Everyone around him like shackles, forcing him to drown. Well,
welcome on the show, Brian.
It's good to be here.
So how long have you been in Austin? Let's start there.
About 3.5 years now. So yeah.
And what prompted you to move down here?
Well, definitely the vibrant music scene here, and I knew I wanted to do music in a more serious fashion than I had ever done in my past, and I knew that couldn't involve me staying in little town in upstate New York. I had to get out, and
Yeah, it makes total sense.
yeah.
Wait, so did you grow up there your whole life?
Yeah, I lived in Binghamton, New York. Well, the Binghamton area, anyways. Suburbs of that. My whole life, and pretty much just decided, the ceiling was kind of low there, for musicians in general. So it was like a matter of just putting myself in the right places to really go somewhere with the music, and that was the idea for sure. Yeah.
What was it like growing up down there, or up there? I guess 'Cause we're much further down than that.
Very, very far down. Yes, we're down the map.
Yes, that's how it works. I don't know if you know this. It's up and down,
yes.
Right and left.
Yes,
those are the cardinal directions.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. I think we got this figured out.
Yes.
No, it was great, man. Got a really awesome family that, it's always been really supportive of anything that I've ever wanted to do, and got some great friends that I grew up with. But, like most small towns like that, people just kind of, everyone sort of graduates college and just goes their separate ways. I've got friends all over the country now. It's a cool thing, but, I was like one of the last people standing from my high school friends, and it's just, but it's because the music was going real well up there and stuff, and I was getting pretty comfortable with it, and I just kind of decided one day, I'm like, you know what, I want to get some more and do something different. And yeah.
So you were on the edge of being a lifer almost before you left. Did you feel? Right there. Yeah. Did you feel that? Because I did the same thing. I stayed within the area that I lived until I was about 23 or so when I finished college, and then I went way out west. But did you start to feel? Did it almost feel claustrophobic, or did it like stale almost?
I would say there was a defining moment where I kind of thought about. I think it's good for everyone to do this every once in a while, to kind of look at, like, if I stay the course with what I'm doing right now, what does my life look like in 10 years?
Yeah.
And I think not enough people do that. But
sure.
For me, it was very profound to see that, and like I saw myself literally playing to the same people at the same places, with the same band, and like it just, that wasn't exciting for me,
Right.
Like, just, even though it was comfortable and I was making okay money and, having an impact, and, we had a good following. People would come out all the time, and it was awesome and really fun, but, it really wasn't, I didn't see it really going beyond that. So, yeah.
You were running the risk of being the bar band.
Yeah, for sure.
Which, there's nothing wrong with doing that. Like, if you're in it to just play music and have fun and get on stage and play in front of people, it's a good time. But if you're wanting more than that, that's not the best way to do it.
Yeah, it would have probably turned into me just being, like, getting a job somewhere and being a weekend warrior, really. Yeah. That's kind of what it felt like eventually it would head to. But, I mean, I really appreciate my time up there, and really got to, like, I'm glad it took me a while to make a move like this, because I got to really cut my teeth before I even showed up here, I think, and
which isn't a bad thing, too.
No, I don't think so.
No, because I remember before I moved here, I was back in South Dakota, where I'm from, and I was cutting my teeth there again, and I don't want to be demeaning in any way, but it sort of built this like confidence a little bit in me that I'd never had before, because I'd be there, and because I was doing something a little bit different than what everybody else was doing. There'd be and I knew people. There'd be a bunch of people coming out to shows and things, even though they shouldn't have.
Yeah,
I was not that good, not good.
Well, it's funny looking back on it now. For me, I have the same feeling, but back then it was. People start coming out to your shows and supporting you and telling you how good you are all the time. It's like kind of, I feel like the big fish in a small pond mentality can be a little toxic,
Oh, totally. Because then you quit having that urge to improve.
Yeah.
Whereas opposed to when you come down here, it's like, okay, you're in the ocean, you better start swimming.
Yeah, you better.
Because if you don't, you're going to be any number of people who come down here and then they just sort of stop.
Right.
Which is, I mean, it happens all the time.
It does.
Same way here, LA, like New York, I think. I don't know. Nashville, definitely.
Yeah.
Nashville, I've heard, is called the musician's boneyard, from what I understand.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't heard that necessarily, but I get the mentality for sure.
That'd be really hard. So what were some of the places that you played up in Binghamton? Because I'm always curious about these smaller town venues because they're so strange and sometimes awesome and sometimes just not.
Well, there was this great place called Cyber Cafe that we used to play at a lot, and it's just like kind of divey, but like they actually spent a good amount of time, energy, and money on a good PA system, good lighting, and all that stuff. But the problem was it was such a tiny little place. Like,
Yeah.
In the actual room where the music happened, maybe 50 people could fit in there, tops.
Yeah.
And like,
which is fun.
it's
sometimes fun.
Yeah, for sure. But for all that money they must have dumped into that, it was always just like they probably could have got more out of it, as a venue. But that was always like the cool place to play, and it took me forever to get the opportunity to play there because
Like how long did it take?
I want to say like I started doing music kind of more professionally like when I was just graduating college of 2010, and I think it took me like 2 years at least to like just constantly hounding this place like, hey, like I got this band, like really love to play there, and just eventually they were like, okay, like you can come in on a Wednesday night, we'll see how it works, and then it just
Did it go well?
it did. Yeah.
Nice.
We ended up playing there pretty regularly, which was great. Actually, Fair City Fire played there on tour, which was really fun. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
So what was that like, just like knocking on the door forever? Because I think that's something that doesn't get emphasized enough with, sort of the story of like musicians who make it big, like you'll just hear that somebody blew up all of a sudden. It's like, no, they were really like pounding the pavement for about 10 years.
Yeah.
Like working their ass off for 10 years and then all of a sudden, overnight success. And it's like, but they don't talk about that.
That's what it looks like for all of us right now. If you want to advance, make your situation better. I think, it's that way in a lot of different fields, but, in music especially, it's like, I think having that experience back there, having the one place I really wanted to play and like, just kind of borderline bothering this guy until he finally like gave us a shot, was kind of prepared me for for Austin, because Austin is that all day,
Yeah. Oh, God.
Even the places that you don't even really want to play at are like that.
Oh yeah, the places that really are not that great of venues. Just their setup's just not that great, sound's not that great, whatever.
Yeah.
No built-in audience really. It's hard to get booked there.
Yeah,
it's really hard.
It is.
This town is nuts.
It's nuts.
So what was it? So you've been playing. I'm assuming you said you really did it more professionally after college, but when did you start playing?
I started when I was 12. Started playing guitar. And
why? What made you start?
It's funny. I just kind of had a moment where I was already like playing trumpet and band and stuff in school and singing just kind of in choirs. So I kind of already had a thing for music. But I just remember being like 12 years old and there was this big garage sale in my neighborhood and kind of one of those things you just walk around and you'll probably find something really cheap that like you're like, cool, like that's awesome. And it was like the big thing in my little neighborhood every year. Like, and I just saw this like little Japanese knockoff of like a SG. Like
nice.
And the brand was called Montaya or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
Never heard of it since. It's like sitting in my room in pieces right now at home.
Nice.
In Binghamton. But yeah, dude, I just saw that and it was like I had like my paper route money at the time. Like I was busting my butt delivering papers and I was like, you know what? $75, like that kind of looks like Angus Young's guitar,
Yeah.
Like I think I'm gonna get that.
Nice.
Learn how to play it.
So you were into rock and roll really young then?
I was, for sure. Thanks to my dad for sure. Introduced me to a lot of that stuff. Yeah.
Okay, like what were the bands he showed you?
Oh, Zeppelin, The Who, AC/DC, The Police, like
nice.
All that cool old shit. My dad is just all about it, and just was always playing in the car, and
cool.
Just kind of one of those things, like, just fell in love with music that way,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because it seems like people get into rock and roll one of two ways. Either they have, like, an awesome older brother or older sister or an awesome parent, or they're rebellious.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
they have somebody awesome who shows them that stuff, or they're just trying to piss off their parents.
Yeah.
And I was definitely like the latter of the two.
Yeah,
Where,
for
you know,
sure.
your parents are just upstairs and they're like, oh my God, what is that noise?
Yeah.
And you're, you know, just finding the most obnoxious shit that you can. Yes.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That explains, because I know I saw your parents coming down to your CD release show.
Yeah, they were at Stubbs, which was awesome.
What did they think of that?
I mean, it was like a different world for them because,
Yeah.
you know, I think the last time they came down was about a year before that,
Mm-hmm.
and we were kind of just getting started as Fair City Fire.
Mm-hmm.
We had been a band for like 4 months at that time or something.
Okay.
And, you know, we're playing places like Parish Underground and, you know, fine places, but,
Yeah,
you
nothing
know,
wrong
just
with those.
not Stubbs, you know?
Yeah.
Like, Stubbs is like a whole different level. And for them to come see, like, okay, like, what he's doing is, like, it's not just, like, he's playing music with his friends. Like, there's people there to see him that are going nuts at the show. And, like, you know, that night was so intense. Like,
Yeah.
I can't even explain, like, how great that felt to be there.
Give it a shot. Tell me about it.
Yeah. Okay. So
'Cause, I mean, I was there. I saw it.
Yeah.
You guys crushed it.
Thank you.
And it
Yeah.
was, you know, but I don't want to steal it from you.
yeah, I mean, from my perspective, it was just this huge build up to this night, right? Like, if you want to do an event like that the right way, there's so much that goes into it beyond just like practicing and making sure you're tight. Like, it's like promo. It's just like even right down to like getting guest performers. Like, we had Ben play fiddle on a couple songs, and like just we had to make decisions about that and like be in constant contact with the venue and like picking the people to open and just like all that stuff like had built like just so much like stress and just took over my life for like a couple months before that event, you know. And then my
Were you
parents
freaking out about it? Like,
yeah,
like
for
having
sure.
nervous like breakdowns and stuff?
Nothing like too crazy, but I would say the days leading up, like when my parents showed up, I was kind of just distant, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know, I love my parents and all that, and we have a great time together, but it's they could see that I was sort of off in the distance a little, you know. Naturally, I think, you know, it's kind of when something that big is on the horizon, I think that just happens. But you know, that night I remember kind of showing up and like, you know, the opening band was playing. I could barely like like they were real loud, but I could barely hear them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was like I was just in my own head and just like haven't been nervous about a show in a long time, and not in a really significant way.
Oh, yeah. Like just a visceral, like you can't control your body almost.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And like I remember kind of a bunch of people that had come out to the show to support, and they were real excited, and they like stopped me before, and they're like, "Hey, Brian, like we're real happy to be here," and like, you know, I like couldn't make words, you know, it was like that.
Did you disappear into the green room in the back?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I know that I've definitely, I guess it was a while ago at my record release, I definitely had to like go into the back for a while just because like I can't talk to anybody right now.
Yeah, dude, it's funny because I don't know if most people realize that that's a kind of tough situation in a way when you're about to perform at a huge show. It might come off a little like dickish or rude, but it's
totally.
like, you know,
Have you ever been rude to anybody?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Yeah. Nothing I can really like come up with a specific example, but you know, just like, hey man, like I can't talk right now, you know, that kind of thing, you know, but nothing like total just like get out of my face. But
You've never yelled? Has anybody been a dick to you after you played?
yeah, I mean, for sure. There was a guy one time that came up. This was like my band back home.
Yeah.
And he said he's wearing his stupid like blue polo thing. Just got off the golf course, you know, just ugh. I could picture the guy.
Yeah.
But he comes up and he's like, "Hey, guys, if you want a real singer, here's my card."
Oh God.
Yeah.
The singers.
Said it to me.
Oh
yeah.
God.
Yeah, and the band, you know.
Yeah.
Just like, oh well, all right.
Yeah. It seems like that's what people do.
Yeah.
There's so many singers, like it's like backseat driving, but for singing. And they're just hanging out back there and like, I could do that better. And it's like, then fucking start your own band, man.
Yeah.
Do it. Don't try to steal mine.
Right. Yeah,
That's
absolutely. I think that was the most dick thing anybody's said after a set.
Yeah.
I mean, it's whatever.
Yeah.
I was a loser, but
Well, has there ever been anything like hard that's happened to you, like trying to pursue music, like because I know there are songs like Uninformed Platform where you talk about, it seems as though that song's a lot about critics and like people just like digging on, you know, the uninformed to have a platform to basically say what they want, and they can just and they don't really know what they're talking about. Is that the gist of that song?
So it's actually about society in general, not
Okay.
about critics necessarily,
Okay.
but it's about I got kind of fed up with people looking at like certain events that would happen in society and just posting on social media about it like they know everything about the situation
Right.
and they haven't done any sort of research, but they form these like hardline opinions about it, and like they get super mad and super like adamant about what they're saying, and it's kind of frustrating to see. Like it, you know, it always was. And what kind of my message with this song, I think, was just like, if everybody's doing that and nobody's like really listening to each other, what are we doing? You know, what's the point? You know?
I don't know. I mean, but that does seem, especially with the political climate right now, that really seems to be a problem.
It does.
Where
Yeah.
people just aren't listening anymore, or instead of listening, people are just waiting for their turn to speak.
Yeah.
The time
for
when
sure.
you should be listening, it's formulating what you're going to say next.
Yeah,
That's
it's
just
'cause
not
for a lot of
fair.
people, it's me, and like they might not know what the hell they're talking
Yeah.
about. You know, it's you know,
You know,
It's-
like
it's
90%.
frustrating.
Yeah, 90%
Yeah.
of people.
yeah.
Yeah. Did that come from a particular experience, or was it just like an overall build-up?
I'm trying to remember what event it
Like, was it an angry day on like Facebook or something where?
It was something
Yeah.
something tragic had happened,
Okay.
and it I'm trying to remember what it was, but everyone had their own opinion on like what should be changed and what, you know, people turned it into like this political thing, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that song is sort of all encompassing for the album, because my point behind it was just that, you know, if everybody's just yelling at each other and not listening and all that stuff, then we're never going to get the truth, you know? We're never going to find out like what actually happened. What is this all about, really? You know, so that's like, you know, the line in the chorus, like the simple, like, what is there to gain when the simple truth is swirling down the drain? It's like, you know, that's where that comes from. It's like, it's going away and we're not doing anything about it. You know, we're not even trying to find it or save it. It's just like disappearing.
Well, where do you even get it anymore? Like, everything that we get from the news is spun.
Yeah.
Everything that people say is biased because, you know, everyone has their own opinions. And I mean, I guess I completely agree with you that if people aren't listening, which is really the only way to like make changes that need to happen, people have to talk to each other and work through things and realize that. Did you see, what is it, Horace and Pete, Louis C.K.'s new show?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Dude, it's good.
Yeah?
It's really good.
I love Louis C.K.
Dude,
Yeah.
it's really dark.
I didn't know about it, actually.
He just released it on his website, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch that tonight.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
But there's a scene where there's it's at a bar, and there's a liberal person and a conservative person, and they're just screaming at each other, and this guy says, no, stop. And I want you to explain, and he made them explain what they thought of what their own ideas were, and then what they thought the other person's ideas were. And like when the people explained what they thought they believed in, like the conservative person and the liberal person, they were both like, well, yeah, I can get behind that.
Yeah.
But when they were talking about their perception of the other person, it was like basically just demonizing the other people and making it so there's no communication that could be established whatsoever. And so
it's funny because a lot of us have like at our core the same, you know, beliefs, you know, and the same goals and the same, all that stuff. But, you know, if we're not talking to each other, you know, it's like, it's never, you know, we're not going to achieve anything, you know.
it's true. Well, I mean, what is it? Everybody wants to be happy. Everybody wants to, like, you know, obviously have food and shelter, love and be loved. Those are like the big things. And I mean, Maslow's hierarchy of needs and all that, but yeah, everybody does want the same thing.
Yeah.
They really do. Like, I can't think of many people who don't want that.
Right. For sure.
So, no. It's just curious to bring that up. Because when I was listening to that, I was thinking that it was a little bit more about critics. Because I was going to ask you a question. Like, have you ever gotten any feedback from anybody that was, like, dealing with music that was really, like, rough to handle, or any that was really great to hear?
I mean, I'm trying to think of stuff that would stand out. I mean,
yeah, because I know for me, I've gotten there was one review that I think haunted me for like a year.
yeah,
Because it's the exact words were, he has absolutely no pipes. And I was like, what?
That sucks. That sucks. Yeah.
And it was some stupid blogger, and it
Yeah.
shouldn't have bothered me at all, but it did.
We've never gotten like really mean reviews like that, but just I think a lot of reviewers like that, they feel the need to say like negative things just to balance it out, so they're not writing like fluff pieces, and I think that's important. But one of the reviews we got was just like the lyrics in Strong are really cheesy, and it like called that song out specifically, and it's like it's really weird to hear that,
Yeah.
even if they're just kind of searching for something to say. It's weird to hear that because that comes from like such a like deep like dark place, really.
Yeah.
And
Where's
I wrote
that
it
song
a long
come
time.
from?
So like my brother passed away when I was 18, and so I kind of, it took me a few years to kind of write that song after that happened, but it was a really tough thing for my family and all that, and the song was sort of meant to be a letter to myself, in a way, to remind myself that I can get through it,
Yeah.
and I can get beyond it, and it's something that I miss him all the time, even now. But it's like that song definitely helped me heal in a lot of ways. So it's kind of about that, kind of about finding your own way to cope with certain situations. And yeah, I mean, sure, the lyrics are a little perhaps maybe immature because I wrote it a long time ago, but they still mean the same thing to me,
Yeah. Well, and if they're sincere, then it's just like that's something that I definitely think gets overlooked a lot.
Yeah.
Because I mean, especially when it's coming from a real place of pain like that.
Yeah.
And is that a place that you write from a lot when you're writing music?
I would say that's where the best stuff comes from.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's kind of I think that's a common thing amongst a lot of songwriters. Do you feel that way?
Oh, 100%. Mine, I mean, I write songs mostly because if I don't, I start to go nuts. I start to go nuts, or it's how I cope.
Yeah.
It's how I cope with just being a person most of the time.
Yeah, man.
Because it's harder for me, I know. I don't know if it's harder for you, but it's definitely hard for me some days.
For sure, yeah. It's kind of hard to write when I'm like really happy about everything.
Doesn't that suck?
It does. It's like,
and so then you start thinking maybe I should start fucking some things up.
yeah.
And then like you don't mean to, but maybe you do, and you start fucking things up.
I need inspiration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's terrible.
It's terrible.
Fucking terrible.
We play pretty tough games with ourselves to try to keep our art alive. And I don't think it's something that we consciously do, but it's like, it's interesting how that works though. But I think I got some pretty good advice from Brett, bass player. He taught me something pretty cool. Like, not too long ago, I kind of dealt with a lot of drama and just kind of bullshit, just in my personal life. And Brett, like, he's like, listen, like, there are a few things that stand out that people have said to me in the past that stand out. And like, he just said, hey, listen, like, there's people that are going to hurt you and stuff, but like, instead of writing that crazy text at like 2:00 to try to like get at them or something, write it down in a song, because that's what that's what we do,
Oh, totally.
And that's he's like, that'll feel better and honestly be way less detrimental to everything, and also like you're gonna have a song at the end of the day,
It's true.
That was some great advice, and like something that I think it's pretty logical, but it's maybe something I wouldn't have picked up on by myself, that I need to do that. So, pretty cool.
And I mean, I know for myself personally, if I don't do that, I start to I become real shitty to be around. Like I know that I start taking things out on people, and I don't mean to.
Yeah.
But I just do. But if I have songs, there's a place to direct that.
Yeah.
Like that kind of, because I know I personally have like a real, I guess maybe it's like there's a certain amount of like self-loathing that goes in there, but it's just this, it's basically that. And if I don't write things and start telling stories about that are all sort of indirectly related to what I'm feeling, I just start to like lash out. Like, you don't mean to, just all of a sudden you respond with like a more or less a fuck you to whoever you're talking to.
Yeah.
And then you go, oh my God, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. I got something else going on, da-da-da. And so I don't know. Was there ever been a time where you've done something like that and not directed it into songwriting and later regretted?
Oh yeah, I think we all have.
The 2 a.m. text where you actually
for sure,
sent
man.
it?
Oh yeah, dude. I don't know, when you're in a place of like hurt, it's just kind of like really hard to control yourself, at times like that. And it's yeah, dude, I can't think of like something specific off the top of my head, but
Sure.
definitely has happened before. And but writing and kind of just taking care of yourself, and that's much more healthy. And at the end of the day, it's but we're a lot of us artists are pretty emotional, sensitive people, and it's
totally.
like, it's hard to hone that in sometimes. So I'm glad that we have some place to put it.
Oh, totally. I mean, I guess the other option is you become almost like self-destructive, like Johnny in that song Johnny.
Yeah.
Where it seems as though he's just basically drinking his life away, more or less.
For sure. So I actually wrote that song after visiting home.
Okay.
From Austin, and kind of just, I don't know, it wasn't about anybody specific. It was just about a general attitude that I saw. And it was like with people that I used to work with, or like people, I would just go out, have a drink with them and stuff. And just kind of like people that have been talking about getting out forever, and they just never did anything about it. They had their aspirations, their dreams, but they're still like working at a sandwich shop and just, grinding their life away. Maybe they have a kid, maybe they don't, but they just seem like those bitter people that, never took a shot, And I think Johnny was meant to be a somewhat cautionary tale against that. Like if you have some kind of inspiration in your life or passion, it's like, if you don't pursue that, you're going to get old and miserable, That's probably what's going to happen.
Probably.
And, so Johnny's kind of about that. And, it's like the first line's like, Johnny's been talking about leaving since the day he was born, but he's been working and working till that soul of his got torn. And it's like, just that light that is in a lot of us, at least at some point in our lives, can go out very easily if you just don't do anything about it.
Well, it's sad to see, like, cause I can, I came from a small town too, and I can think of plenty of friends who just never did anything and still aren't doing, in the sense, I don't, because some people, they're very content and very happy, like working jobs, having families, that's what they want, and that's great, more power to you if that's
a
what you
different
want.
thing than what this song's about.
Yeah, no,
sure.
this is somebody walking around saying I could have been a contender, basically. That whole idea where it's like, I could have done this, but I just didn't, probably because they're scared.
Yeah.
And that's like, when you see somebody do that and just the life drains out of them. It's really, or it's almost like giving up.
Yeah.
And it's just,
and it's
sad.
It's kind of frustrating the way a lot of those people tend to look at somebody like you or I, like, you're lucky you got out. It's like, no, like, I won't accept that. We made a conscious decision to better our lives, and it was really terrifying, but it's terrifying for all of us that have to do that, but it's to have the notion that like we got lucky somehow. It's like, no, not really, No,
I think we both just took like a ballsy chance.
Yeah.
Where it's like, no, I don't care what I have to do. I'm just going to go gut it out. I'm going to move to a new place. I'm going to like scrub toilets. Like, I worked the door at a bar for a while.
Yeah.
Just did whatever I could. Same thing with you. What was your first job when you came down?
I worked at Starbucks with Dan.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you do. You gut it out. And
that job was terrible.
What's so bad about it?
Oh, I don't know. Just management was just rough and just not my thing.
And you couldn't get the smell of coffee out of your clothes and like scalding burns.
We already went over how I'm not a coffee guy.
That job did it?
Yeah. Well, no, it's just I'm not a coffee guy. So what am I doing making coffees for people?
Yeah. So everyone's asking you, what would you recommend? And you're like, dude, I don't.
It all sucks. I don't know.
It all tastes just like burnt trees.
Just go somewhere else.
Yeah.
No, it was not my favorite job, but I think it's just I think no matter what job you're doing, if you have another passion, it's like that it's going to be hard to like really enjoy that job.
Yeah.
I think cuz you might be thinking the whole time I should be doing this other thing, you know. And I've had a few jobs since, but you know, I've been able to do full-time music for a little over a year now, which I'm really
That's
happy
awesome.
with. Yeah.
How is that?
It's great.
Yeah.
I love it. You know, my first attempt at it here was after working at Starbucks. I kind of had some gigs lined up and stuff, and it seemed like the smart thing to do. And yeah, maybe not the smart thing, but just for me, it was just like I couldn't work that job anymore.
Yeah.
And just I had enough gigs where I think I thought I could get by, and like I did for a little while, but then a very easy job opportunity came up to work like as a server at an old folks home.
Yeah.
Just super easy and like really flexible schedule and stuff, and like it was great. But you know, I kind of after a while got sick of that too. Just even though it was easy peasy, like just free food, all that stuff. But like after a while, I got sick of that too. And you know, I had Brett from Fair City Fire kind of say like, hey, like I want to quit my job too, and let's do music full time together. And so now it wasn't just me going out and getting all these gigs. It's like I have somebody else who has the same interest in it as I did, and same level of commitment to it, you know.
That's awesome.
And I think that's helped me a lot to make it sustainable. Because the last time I tried it lasted maybe 5-6 months or so.
Yeah. Well, it
And
seems
that
like that'd
was
be really hard.
It's a hard thing. Yeah.
You know, because I mean, it's like constantly. It would almost seem like scavenging until you start getting those like residencies where it's like every Tuesday we're playing here from X time to X time.
It's about building relationships like any other small business. You know, and you start playing in places where you can connect with the management, the owners, the staff, all that kind of thing. So it's like, so you start getting to that point where like not only are you playing music well, like a lot of them feel like you're part of the business in some way, you know, which, you know, we've been playing at some breweries, kind of up and coming stuff. Like Fourth Tap has been amazing to us. Love that place. It's kind
How's
of up
the beer?
in the
Is
hood.
it good?
Oh, it's so good.
Okay.
We're
All
playing
right.
their Saturday night for their big 6-month anniversary. So.
What time? Because I think I'm playing the
7.
show.
Yeah, we're playing at the same time.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, there goes that. Damn
it. Anyways, it's like things like that. Infamous
Yeah.
Brewery's been really good to us. Like just that whole connection of like they're starting something from scratch and we are too. And it's like we kind of are like we have those conversations that are a lot like the one we're having right now, except they're talking about beer and we're talking about music.
That's awesome.
It's funny how much those really are connected, you know.
Well, and who is it? James McMurtry. Do you know him?
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Yeah, he and I think he's a rather cynical guy, I would say. But he has a thing where he says it at almost every show at this point. He says it took me decades before I realized that I was in the beer and wine sale business.
Yeah.
And it's like it's kind of true.
It
in
is.
a lot of ways we're part of the bar.
Yeah.
You know, until you get to that level where but even then that's how you make a lot of your money, getting people to drink.
Yeah, I mean it's true. I would say
until you get to like theaters and stuff, but then at that point that's a totally different ball game.
I would say for like any of the cover stuff that I've ever done, that's been a big concern. Just like trying to like get people to buy drinks and like just, you know, encouraging. You know?
Do you get paid by like percentage of the bar or something like that?
Generally it is a guarantee. That's pretty good.
That's
but
nice.
you know, that took a lot of time to get to there. You know, a lot of places at first will be like, okay, we'll give you a percentage of the bar. And, you know, that's kind of a scary thing because if nobody's there, you're making like no money.
Yeah,
you know?
and that's not fun.
No, it's not.
Especially because those gigs are long for all those people who aren't from Austin and don't know that like how long these gigs are. Like what's an average length for those gigs?
3 hours is pretty typical.
That's a long show.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Do you get breaks? You get breaks in there, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, it takes a while and it takes a lot of getting used to negotiating with people. Because I think a lot of musicians kind of fall short in that aspect.
It's hard. We're not good at that.
Not by nature. I mean, I went to business school, so I kind of have that mentality behind me naturally, just from just from, I don't know, taking classes on that for like 4 years, you know, just, you know.
Well, and how do they respond when you start to negotiate with them? Because I feel like a lot of musicians would look at it as, especially in a city that's as competitive as Austin, that if you start to like try to negotiate with the bar, they're going to be like, nope, next person.
I think you have to establish that you have to establish your value first.
Okay.
You know, like before you can really talk about it. And whether that's like, hey, we saw you at this other brewery, we want to book you. It's like, you know, you get into that conversation. Sometimes you find out like they weren't planning on paying you.
Oh, yeah,
They just want you to come play at their place. And it's like, well, I mean, how do you think this works? Like, you know, you think I'm just like doing this for a hobby? Like, that's fine if people are doing that. But
sure, some people are.
You know, you have those conversations and you just say like, no, I can't do it for free. I'm sorry. Like, and then you tell them what you want, and sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't, but you got to know when to walk away when you don't, you know?
So do you guys, you obviously can't give me a number, but do you guys have a certain like number that you have to get every time to even consider the gig, or does it vary?
It's not hard lined like that. But you know, we definitely go for like, if we get an X amount or more, we're happy, you know, that kind of thing. Yeah. But,
so tell me what it's like in the band, because we were talking about this a little bit before we got on the mics, but what is it like when you guys are creating together? Because you play in the band Fair City Fire that has 4 people, 2 guitar players, bass, and drums. So how do you guys approach your songs?
Well, generally someone, usually it's Brett, Derek, or myself, brings the bare bones of a song. It's whether it be like one progression, a few lyrics, or usually the lyrics kind of have to be there, but could be a guitar riff or just whatever. And we just start playing it together.
Cool.
And nobody's telling each other what to play. It's just like, you come up with what you think is cool with that. And you come up with what you think is cool with that. And I think that's how we I think that's how we're capable of having 3 different songwriters in our band, but yet have a overall like sound that still exists, I think, with our band.
So it all relies on like chemistry and the spontaneity of the band, basically.
Yeah, and we're getting better and better at that, I think. Whereas, you know, I think we come from 4 very different places, like musically.
Like, where do you guys come from?
Brett's a big hip hop guy.
Interesting.
Always has been.
Huh.
Yeah. I
did not place him for that, but
right?
I guess that makes sense.
Old school hip hop all the way.
Huh.
Yeah.
Like NWA, or like, what are we talking here?
He's I mean, he loves the Beastie Boys. I know he talks about them a lot. But you know, just De La Soul.
Okay.
Like just cool old stuff like that, you know, and stuff that like a lot of the tracks were like just bass and drums, you know. And that's kind of like how he got into it. Yeah, right. And so, you know, by not telling him what to play, we get some of those elements out of it, you know, and it makes our music maybe a little bit more danceable than a rock band that's like, no, you play like the roots, you know.
Yep, the root notes.
Yeah, that's it, you know.
Yep.
And that's fine if somebody's doing that, but it's I think allowing that hip hop influence to kind of just find its way into our music is kind of interesting, and I think it makes it a little bit more funky, and just even if they're straight rock songs, there's just some kind of like funk hip hop element to it that just becomes pretty cool, I think. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm forgetting the name of the song, but there's definitely that one where it starts off with just the bass and drums. Oh shoot.
Is that Ocean Meets the Sand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
No, I can definitely hear that for sure in that song.
For sure.
Where does Derek come from?
Derek's much more of like kind of similar to you, I believe. You know, a lot of the like Bob Dylan, American songwriter kind of things.
Cool.
I mean, just he's pretty old school when it comes to that. But even some country influences and some like, I think if you and Derek talked about music, you guys would definitely vibe pretty well.
I think we would get along pretty well.
Yeah. Wilco's his favorite band, I know.
Oh, dude. Yeah, I remember seeing them at a Wilco show, and that was the last night that the girl I was seeing at the time when I hung out ever.
Oh yeah.
That was like the last thing.
Nice.
But yeah, she bought the tickets, and I'm okay with that.
Cool, man. Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely a big Wilco guy.
Actually, I think you and I might have more in common with our musical background because I grew up playing like, and I was going to ask you about this. I grew up playing like punk and metal music.
Yeah.
Like real like heavy like screaming into microphones, playing in like dirty basements and
we've talked about that before. Actually, I think at out at a bar or something.
Did we? Did you
Over
go
drinks,
through that whole
perhaps.
scene like punk and like metal and like did you go through like that grimy basement scene? I don't know if there was one up in Binghamton.
Not playing necessarily, but going to the shows for sure.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I was playing like grunge music, I think pretty much like through high school and stuff that was like influenced by that. But we'd play like Pearl Jam and Nirvana and sometimes your Rage Against the Machine.
Oh yeah.
Couple
Evil
kids
Empire era, yeah.
Couple of kids that had no business singing Rage Against the Machine, but but we did anyways. Great band.
Oh, dude, they're a killer band.
Yeah, but just definitely always liked music a little harder, and I still feel that way, but I've definitely opened up a little bit more. With
why? Because I know there are a lot of people who gravitate towards that when they're younger because I think music like that kind of gets at like this youthful, like aggression almost, if that makes sense, where you just, or maybe just a pent up energy that you can't really let out in a lot of ways, especially because you're learning how to be an adult person at that time.
Yeah.
But you still have like all that energy of being a kid. And so you got to find ways to direct it. Some people go to sports, some people go to music, and when they go to music and they're trying to get that energy out, I think that's where a lot of like punk and stuff comes up.
For sure. I definitely definitely always appreciated like whenever it'd be like just some high school buddies like, hey, come to Post 89.
Yeah.
This
Was that the
Friday
place,
night.
Post 89?
Yeah. Just like it's like one of those places where like veterans would hang out, but sometimes they would like it's just like a banquet hall kind of thing, but sometimes they'd like punk shows would rent it out and
that's awesome.
It'd become this like punk venue or metal or whatever.
VFW.
Yeah,
it was
that
just,
kind of. Yeah.
Oh my god,
it's exactly like that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I actually lived in a punk house for a while.
Yeah.
Like right before I went to college, because I was in like a touring like metal band or whatever, and we used to. Oh my god, the shows we had in our house, like, it's a miracle we didn't go to prison. Like, it's a fucking miracle.
Yeah.
Like, God, I remember one time, I didn't know that this was happening because I was the guy doing the door upstairs, but like apparently one of the bands just like got naked and was just playing their whole set naked.
Oh my god.
And I was like, I had no idea, and I like ran down, and somebody told me, and I was like, what if the cops show, it's just like, oh my god, like I was going nuts.
Those parties were crazy.
Yeah,
they were always
insane.
crazy.
Did you have any crazy like basement shows like that, or any let's just ask any crazy shows in general?
I'd never really been like a part of like house parties like that.
Yeah.
I don't think we really played the right kind of music for that.
Yeah.
I think for like that kind of thing, what you were talking about that you played was a lot more appropriate for that kind of thing. But I remember, it was so weird. I remember going to a show when I was like 16, 17. This kid like walked in with crutches.
Yeah.
And just like these punk kids just took his crutches and were just dancing around with them and stuff. And I was like, what is going on right now?
My God.
But the kid was not pissed about it.
Huh.
Like
were they his friends or something?
They must have been or something. But I remember that being so like, what the hell is happening right now? I don't understand this.
Oh my God.
Like, why are they dancing around with that guy's crutches? He probably needs those,
Dude, crazy shit happens at shows.
Yeah.
Like, it's just sometimes, like, I can remember touring and we were in Michigan and we were playing a set, and this guy, this was back when like people like doing like pits and like circle pits and all that stuff was a big deal.
Yeah.
And this guy just leveled this girl. She wasn't paying attention, and he just like ran backwards and just mowed her over.
Oh man.
Like feet in the air, mowed her over.
Yeah.
And like we stopped the set and we like just like ordered, like said, if anybody does anything like that, we're gonna fucking leave the venue, which is a skate park. And like it was a cool show, but that was like one of the craziest things I've seen, because I watched it happen, and like her feet like basically just went like completely parallel to the ground, just like woo.
Oh my goodness. Jeez, that's nuts.
And but no, shows are nuts.
Yeah.
And I don't know, has any of that happened with Fair City Fire? Because I mean, you guys get pretty rowdy up there. Derek's like throwing stuff, and
we do definitely.
He needs to stop. Those are nice Telecasters. He needs to stop doing that.
We tell him that. But you can't tell a guy like that.
No.
Anything really. He's just gonna do what he's gonna do.
Yeah.
You know. But I mean, not necessarily Fair City Fire, but I think with the solo shows, it's been it's put me in a little bit more of a vulnerable place. And duo as well. It's just like not quite so like such a show, and it's more of like you're working. People, I think, maybe feel like they can fuck with you a little bit more.
Yep.
When you're doing that.
Well, and they're probably more inebriated at those shows too, if I had to guess.
Yeah, it's definitely.
I mean, are those like on
true.
like 6th Street, which for those people who don't know is kind of like the big party street in Austin?
Yeah, actually, like one of the weirdest things that happened to me was like, okay, so just got down to Texas, right?
Yeah.
And got my first gig. First gig I ever booked. I think I played one maybe before that, but this was the first one that like I went out and like got on the books, you know?
Yeah.
And I was real excited about it. And I think they were paying me like $50, and I was like, all right, yes.
I'm on my way.
3 hours, $50, yes.
You
I
have made it,
That's
sir.
it. Yeah, that's all I needed. Yeah. So I got super pumped, but it was like way out in the sticks, kind of.
Yeah.
Not in Austin, like way out there. And there was like a lot of like hicks there, you know.
Oh, okay.
Like Texas, just like
okay.
you know.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all.
Nobody come after me with your guns.
Yeah, don't worry. We'll edit things so nobody will come after us.
I love Texas.
Yeah, Texas is great, man.
Yeah, I do too.
Especially this part of Texas. It's a gem. It really is.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite places in the whole country.
Yeah, for sure. But at this show, I was already like just new to town and just like a little nervous about playing in a totally different world and just like, but at the same time, just like ready for it. Just went out and did it. And there was this dude in just like this huge cowboy hat, just like super intimidating looking dude. And he comes up to me like right after I'm done playing, and he's like, "Hey there, Yankee." I got a question for you. And I'm like, "Oh God."
Yes, sir.
Like, yeah, what do you want to ask me? He's like, "How do you feel about slavery?"
What?
Yeah.
No.
That was one of my first interactions with.
How do you feel about slavery? Yeah. What did you say?
I was like, I don't want to talk about that at all. Like, that I'm actually going to go over here.
Oh my God.
And he just kept following me around, and like, oh man, it got out of hand. I almost punched him. Yeah. It was ridiculous, but
that's scary, man.
It was, man. And dude was like totally pro like slavery and just nuts though. Just
that's insane.
Yeah, dude. That was it was a very like weird thing, and it's like that was like I was like, is Texas like this? Like, are people like this here? And like,
yeah.
And
I mean, you get outside of the Austin bubble. You know, it's easy to forget living here, but I mean, parts of it,
for sure,
insane.
But that was like my first impression of that, and like playing down here, and I was like, okay. Did I move here for a good reason?
Yeah,
like,
you have that Arrested Development moment where you're like, I made a terrible mistake.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that was real weird. That like it, got out of hand. Like, the bar staff had to come out and just kind of like separate us and stuff, and just dude, it got ridiculous. And dude was making my girlfriend at the time feel uncomfortable about it. Like she was right there with me.
I'm sure he didn't. If those were his views about labor, I'm sure his views about women were not too great either.
yeah, a little out of whack, perhaps.
Oh yeah, probably just terrible. He would.
Yeah.
I should find that guy and get him on the podcast. That'd be.
You should.
That would be. Yeah. You got his number? Did you get that?
I didn't actually ask for his number.
Yeah.
Didn't ask to hang out later or anything.
Yeah. No, that's probably wise. He probably would have killed you with a Bowie knife. If I had to
probably.
guess.
Yeah. Probably. That would be his style.
Yeah. Just crocodile Dundee you to death.
But that was just such like a weird, shocking thing for sure. But it wasn't like somebody got mauled at a show, but it, just like, holy shit, did you just say that to me?
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah.
That's one of the craziest things I've ever heard of people saying at a show.
Yeah. What did that have to do with me playing at that bar?
Like, that sounds exactly like, it sounds like he was trying to fight you, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I would say that's probably true.
Yeah,
trying to get a rise out of me.
I mean, that happens in small towns. I think the closest I've ever I can remember one time I was sitting in a bar with my friend, and this guy, all of a sudden I start seeing these coasters fly by my head, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what's going on? And I look over, and this guy's just staring at us, throwing coasters.
Oh, jeez.
And I look, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? And, I start to puff up a little bit, and you're just like, okay, all right, here we go. I'm going to tell him to knock it off. And then I looked, and there were three or four of his friends hidden throughout the bar all watching. And I was just like,
Oh, yeah, no way.
Just like stare down. The coasters kept flying eventually, and then you're like, nope. And that was scary. They were big dudes.
Dude, for sure. Yeah.
But I mean, that stuff's just so unnecessary.
Oh, it is.
But I mean, if you get into those smaller towns, it seems like that's where that stuff sort of festers. They kind of,
they're
I don't
bored,
know.
They want to just have some excitement, beat up somebody.
It's sad.
It is. Yeah.
It's like horribly sad.
It is.
But I mean, it's a reality, I guess.
I guess, yeah.
I don't know.
That was a very strange experience, but pretty much all uphill from there.
Yeah. Well,
or downhill, or however you want to look at it.
I mean, do those experiences, things like that, make you question like why you write songs, why you do music?
Oh, I mean, dude, for sure. At that particular point, it was just like, what am I doing right now?
Yeah.
Like, why am I at this place where that would happen? And it's very easy as any kind of artist to question yourself, and and I think a lot of us are pretty fragile in that way, especially
100%.
Things aren't like going so well. And at that time they weren't, I would say my first 2 years here were a big struggle with the music, and then Fair City Fire started, and things just started to work because it was like music that we were all passionate about, and that was the difference, I think, for sure.
Yeah.
But
yeah. So that brings me to the last question that I try to ask everybody, because I find that it yields some of the most interesting stories and sort of windows into who some of the artists that I get the privilege of talking to are. Why do you write songs?
It kind of just depends on the situation. I mean, I think I write songs in general to figure out how to deal with life and how to navigate through my feelings about stuff. And it's I think it's great in a way because you can create this stuff about how you're dealing with your own personal shit, and people can relate to it, hopefully is the idea. But I think I write songs for me really, and then just kind of hope that people like it. And I think, and that's, I think that's like, I would think most of my favorite music was probably created that way too,
So is that something, is connecting with people, is that an important part of it for you? Or like, or is it gratifying to hear from people that they connect with it?
It feels great when it happens, but it's not part of the intention. It's, there's never like a moment where I'm like, I think most people would like this line, it's not like that, like Uninformed Platform, I'm calling like everybody out. Like, hey, you guys are a bunch of idiots, Yeah,
people are being shitty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Johnny, like, just, that's not like a nice thing to say either, but it's like, it's how my songs are how I see the world and how I see certain situations. And I think it's nice when people can respond to that and connect to it some way, Yeah. And I think the most important thing is just to be sincere and honest, and I try to be that, all the way. And I think that's what we owe some of Fair City Fire's recent success to, is just being ourselves,
Yeah.
Just not trying to like do anything besides like, hey, we want to just play what we think is great music, and if you like it, that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, I suppose at the end of the day, that's what really matters. Are you happy with it?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Because I mean, there are plenty of people, or not plenty, I guess there are some people that, they're trying to make music to sell it. And then, at the end, then they try to do their own thing and it doesn't quite work. And that's not very fun.
I think a lot of times when people do that, unless you're like already like a big pop star, you're really sexy or something, it's like, I think most people read through that,
Yeah. Oh,
like,
they totally do.
It's like, I don't know, just a lot of the pop bullshit that you hear now. It's like, And, you know, it's not just pop, it's country, it's rock, it's you know, like a lot of this stuff is so bland and it's not coming from anywhere. It's like, and that's why it's not exciting. You know?
It's just a formula.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
a formula, and you guys are definitely not following that.
Yeah.
Trying to put out the
we don't
most
want to.
sincere thing you can,
Yeah.
which is great. So where can people find your stuff?
Well, I think for a little while longer, it's at Waterloo Records downtown, which
Nice.
really been exciting to see that on the shelf and stuff. And people keep sending us pictures with it and stuff, which is really awesome. But, you know, iTunes, Spotify, there's actually, if you go to our website, faircityfire.com, there's kind of lists all the different ways you can find it.
Cool.
And that includes all of our shows and all that stuff. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Well,
for
cool.
sure. Yeah.
Well, you want to play one?
Yeah,
and
sounds
then
good.
we'll call it.
Sounds good.
All right.
I know life ain't always fair. Some things just happen the way they're not supposed to. But don't always expect the worst. Just always be prepared. I don't care what people say, just move on in my own way, and I will fly above the sea and over the sky, 'cause I am strong and I have the strength to carry on. Be angry and sad if you need to. No one will expect any more or less from you, but just know everyone's got something they hide, something breaking them, shaking them inside. I don't care what people say, I just move on in my own way, and I will fly above the sea and over the sky, 'cause I am strong and I have the strength to carry on.
Well, there you have it, folks. My interview with Mr. Brian Wolff of Fair City Fire. If you like the songs that you heard in this episode, you can see Fair City Fire live August 20th at Stubbs here in Austin. They're playing with Finite Fidelity, That Girl Dre, and Canvas People. That's a killer lineup. You should definitely check it out. And, you know, in the process of making this episode, in the editing process, I was listening back through this episode, and I was thinking, man, I wish we would have spent some more time talking about this song Strong, because especially knowing the story, it turns into such an honest, kind of heartbreaking tune. I know for me, it takes me back to some times where I've lost some friends, and when you're trying to work through something that's that disorienting, losing someone who is a huge part of your life, I can only wish that I would have heard something like this. Something just to hear anybody sing about actually getting through something like that, because it's tough, going through that type of a loss, especially someone that you're close to. It just doesn't seem real for a long time. And then, it turns into something where you're angry, you're sad, you're upset. And, sometimes it takes a while to get used to the idea that you're never going to get that phone call again. But a song like this, I think, speaks to how you really can be strong enough to keep going. And life does get better. So if you are in that place right now, or you know someone who is in this place, maybe toss this song their way. Or more importantly, just let them know that they can get through it, that it'll be all right. Well, thanks so much, everybody, for listening. Once again, this was an interview with Brian Wolff of Fair City Fire. You can find their music on faircityfire.com, also on Spotify, all the usual places like iTunes, Amazon, all those places. I highly recommend checking out that record because it's a great record from a great band. Thanks so much for listening, guys. Dude, $5
Talk to you later.
is a lot of money. I could buy like a box of cereal with that or something like that. I mean, it's not like they put in any effort making those songs. You strum some chords. I mean, seriously, why is there